How's it going, guys? What of course you'll be seeing today is a breakdown and review of the Black Hammer sniper rifle in Destiny. The only way to get it is by killing Crota in the Crota's End DLC, the Dark Below Raid DLC. It's random, so it's not guaranteed to drop, and it can be got in both easy and hard mode, which is nice. So I'll break down the stats first, of course, to paint a preliminary picture. It starts with a 272 base damage and increases to a max of 331 when you're done with the upgrades. You'll need Glimmer, Weapon Part, and Radiant Energy at the very least. The other form, whether it's Relic Iron or Spirit Bloom, may differ for you, so I won't give a definite one you need. The fire rate is 12%. It has an impact rating of 32%, which is actually higher than Icebreaker, a range of 88%, a stability of 35%, a reload of 55%, which is pretty quick, and a magazine size of 3. It's a small magazine size, of course, but one of the perks I'll describe shortly actually will make up for that fact. In terms of PvP damage output, just like all other sniper rifles, it's a 2-shot body shot and a 1-shot headshot, so that's all you need to know about that. With regard to the skill tree, there are no variations for any raid weapons out there, which means yours is the same as mine, which is the same as your neighbors, which is the same as your enemies. Exactly the same there. Every single one deals solar damage. You have 3 clear options in terms of scope. The ambush scope, which is the stock one, which is described as a very snappy scope that rewards a skilled hand. The Taxis scope, which is useful in situations where the range of the target changes, which, I mean, if you're an aggressive player with sniper rifles, this will probably come in handy for you. And the Hawkeye, which is a mid-zoom precision scope that increases range. The choice is yours. I stick with the stock one. When you break down the skill tree, the most important perk is White Nail, which allows the magazine to be brought back to full if you land 3 straight precision shots in rapid succession. My thoughts on the weapon actually directly relate to this perk, and I'll address this shortly. The next 3 perks of note which you have a choice over are Snapshot, which allows for faster aiming, Flared Magazine, which allows for faster reload time, and Perfect Balance, which dramatically reduces recoil, which is already pretty manageable, so it wouldn't be the one I'd choose. The next 2 perks of note are Mulligan, which has a chance to put missed shots back into the magazine, and Hive Disruptor, which I'm going to put an asterisk next to in a second, which theoretically produces extra damage to Hive Majors, which is great for, of course, return trips to Crota's End. But something of note, as of like late January, as I'm making this video, the perk was bugged and removed. When you activated this perk previously, before it was removed, bonus damage basically didn't carry over, so 3 straight precision shots wouldn't count because this Hive Disruptor would actually bug White Nail, so it's removed for now, but they're apparently fixing it. The last 5 perks are damage upgrades. Now in PvE, I'll break down the PvE first. White Nail being the 3 rapid precision shots part is key. There's not a lot of time between shots to allow this to happen, so aiming at bigger targets that aren't as mobile when you have lots of room for error, such as like Sepix Prime, can allow you to breeze through them. Like you won't even have to reload once. Running strikes makes it so much fun and so much faster, but there's a downside. Aiming at smaller and more mobile targets, like say captains that can go invisible and move, means that one miss will be extremely unforgiving because of that small magazine size and the fact that there isn't a lot of reserve ammo in it either. It's possible to have great success in all situations with this rifle. It absolutely is, especially if you've built up your experience and skill sniping when applied to this particular weapon. But for these reviews on Habit, I tend to assume that a person is of average skill or new to a game to emphasize a weapon's strengths and weaknesses, because skill can sort of make up for a deficiency of a weapon. But I like presenting the logic of an average player, here's the strengths and weaknesses. What should be stressed is based on stats alone, this weapon is actually more of a situational weapon only. Its key strengths like White Nail, reload speed, and pretty manageable recoil really shine against strike bosses and larger targets. But it does not, and I'll emphasize not, shine in situations with smaller, more mobile targets because of the slow fire rate, the small and very unforgiving magazine size, and only average impact rating for a sniper. Well, it's pretty good average rating for a sniper rifle. I forget I said that part actually. Icebreaker might actually have more utility in just about every single conceivable scenario than this rifle other than strike bosses. That's the point I'm trying to emphasize here. You could throw Icebreaker in pretty much any scenario and it's fine. This one here, less so. In PvP, white nails probably not going to impact you an awful lot because in my circumstances, and perhaps yours are different where the subjective factor comes in, I don't encounter a lot of people in PvP where I need to hit 3 nice headshots very promptly to get my magazine back. I just don't. I don't know if that's because there's a lack of players in PvP. It's just how it works for me. It's perfectly capable if you're smart about your ranges and your very situational awareness, knowing what's around you. But I personally, in PvP, I'd never choose the Black Hammer over Icebreaker or Praetus Revenge. I wouldn't. The rate of fire is extremely slow. Small reloads, or the reload speed, despite not being bad, is actually highly outclassed by a lot of sniper rifles, especially Praetus Revenge. But if you're if you assume equal skill, if you're matched up against someone with Praetus Revenge, you're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So overall, to sum up, I feel this weapon really rewards a skilled player more than the general field. If you're the average player who attempts to aim for center mass instead of headshots, you might actually be served with another sniper rifle. If you have Icebreaker, I'd choose that. This weapon here, though, is truly an absolute monster against larger enemies and strike bosses. And when the Hive Disruptor perk comes back, I'm sure it'll be very effective against those top tier boomers and bosses in the Crota's End raid. So again, it's dependent on that fix and dependent on your skill level, dependent on situations. To an average player, I don't feel this thing is anywhere close to Icebreaker. To a skilled player, I think it's just as good. So it really does depend on you. That's about it. Feel free to agree, disagree. Let me know what you think. Have a good one.